very much. We have Lyova on the Fadolin, we have Jovi, Joshua Camp on the accordion, Taylor Bergen-Chrisman on the bass, and all the way from Philadelphia, Sam Weisenberg on the pipe. So that's true, Aaron. What Aaron said, it didn't really dawn upon me until this moment that we actually started playing together with the New York klezmer series, and we started in the 6th Street Synagogue and in the Village, and then we moved up to Stephen Wise, and then we played some private club, and then COVID happened, and then here we are. So we're traveling together with New York klezmer series, and that's wonderful. So we're Litvakus, and we started in 2008. In fact, most of us, at least the three of us here, met in the pit of the National Yiddish Theater Volksbühne, doing Gimpel Tam, Gimpel the Simpleton, Gimpel the Fool, after Isaac Bashevis Zinger at JCC in Manhattan. And that's, in fact, how many klezmer bands started playing a show together and said, hey, let's keep doing it. Why not? So we've also played a fair share of other theater productions and done, ethnographic theater, traveling the Yiddish lands, which we're also doing as a touring production. But the reason why we are here today and what we have been doing as a band was a very rare, unique, and sadly abandoned, forgotten repertoire that comes from my neck of woods. My name is Zisel Slepovich, and I come from Minsk, Belarus. I came here 16-something years ago. I'm an ethnomusicologist, performer, instrumentalist, etc. So I brought the fruit of my research, in my region, which I did together with my professor and research partner, Dr. Nina Stepanskaya of blessed memory. And we went to about 22 cities and towns, mainly in Belarus, and we recorded a couple hundred people, interviewing them and recording songs, some instrumental tunes and stories, their life stories. And we also went to various archives in the area, searching basically for the musical culture of the Litvak Jews, Belarusian Jews, Lithuanian Jews, Latvian Jews, but predominantly Belarusian Jews. Which it was, already was clear to us at that point, and we're talking some, late 90s, early 2000s, that it was a very regionally distinctive culture that sounded differently. Had this flavor and color of the local culture, and that, by being very conceptually, philosophically different from, say, Slavic or Baltic cultures, but nevertheless, by the extension of a convergent evolution, so to speak, by sharing the same ecology, same space, same water, making instruments from the same wood, etc., 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 produced somewhat similar results. And maybe Belarusian and Jewish musicians did not play together as much as they did down south in Romania and Bessarabia and Ukraine. They did not really, and those music really differed to much greater extent than Jewish music differed, if at all, from the non-Jewish musics in the south of Eastern Europe. However, the music that we discovered in our expeditions and our archival research clearly was bearing the imprint, that mark of the local culture. And in 2002, Dr. Stepanskaya and I went to St. Petersburg because we knew that in St. Petersburg's various archives and in public library there are numerous periodicals, Jewish periodicals. There were many Jewish periodicals in Russian published on the verge of the 19th, 20th centuries, such as Vashod, Novy Vashod, Rassvet, etc., and the bulletin of the dissemination of Jewish education in Russian Empire. It's a very long name, but it brought a lot of very interesting information. And there were whole battles unfolding on the pages of those publications between people who believed that Hebrew should be the new Jewish language, and some believed that Yiddish should be the new Jewish language. It was incredibly interesting to read through those discussions on those yellowish and sometimes really blackish with black mold. There was really toxic black mold on the pages of those ancient magazines. But then we went to Pushkinsky Dom, Pushkin House, which is the colloquial name of the Institute of Russian Literature and Arts. And why would it be so interesting to us specifically? It's a very interesting place indeed, because it houses a huge sound archive, Phonogram Archiv. About maybe 1 million units are stored there. And that's from the late 19th century, from the very dawn of ethnography, ethnomusicology, when the phonograph, Thomas Edison's phonograph, became available. Folklorists there, just like their colleagues at the British Museum and elsewhere, started going to the people and recording people all over the place, all over Russian Empire, and then when the Soviet Union replaced Russian Empire in the Soviet Union. So Sophia Magid, who was a hereditary Jewish scholar, happened to be one of those people working at that institution. And in fact, she started at the State Institute for the History of Arts, which also exists, but then they closed their folklore section and they transferred everybody and the archives in the 1931 to Pushkinsky Dom, to Pushkin House. In the course of those years, in fact, yet at that State Institute for the History of Arts, Sophia Magid showed her organic interest to Jewish musical culture. Her father was David Gilarionovich Magid, who was a historian and linguist and musicologist. He contributed articles to the Jewish Encyclopedia, published in St. Petersburg in the early 1910s. He was closely connected to the Ansky Jewish Ethnographic Society, it was really, the Jewish intellectual life was really booming in St. Petersburg at the time. And Sophia Magid's grandfather was a celebrated Jewish scholar, rabbi, a Jewish scholar in Vilna, in Lithuania. In other words, it's not surprising that she developed an organic interest towards specifically Jewish musical culture. And simultaneously, entirely independently, but also being informed of the work of her colleague in Kiev, in Ukraine, Moisei Beregovsky, in the same very years, on the cusp of the Holocaust. They both conducted that very unique and important work of documenting Jewish musical culture in Ukraine and Belarus. And Sophia Magid was the only one who went to Belarus, to the southeastern regions, Voblasts of Belarus. In Homel, Polessk, the whole administrative names, the divisions changed over time, not even once. But we're talking southeastern part of Belarus, bordering Ukraine and central and northern parts of Ukraine. So basically the same region. And so that was very unique material. So those were instrumental tunes, basically all genres of Jewish music, even including some liturgical chants, which were very much outlawed during the Soviet era. But nevertheless, she recorded Hasidic Nigunim, the tunes, the religious tunes. She recorded some chants for Rosh Hashanah. She recorded instrumental tunes, which became the basis of this collection that I started to publish right now and what we've been playing. But also a lot of Yiddish songs, ballads. Her dissertation, her PhD dissertation in philology, in linguistics, was titled "The Ballad in Jewish Folklore." She defended it in Leningrad, St. Petersburg, in 1939. But with all that, that was an incredibly challenging, to put it very mildly, very challenging time. Anti-Semitism was always there, and at the end, after the war, she was ousted, she was kicked out and fired from work with citation for poor level of research. Was entirely unfair and really shameful. And after that, she passed away in 1954. And similar thing happened to Beregovsky in Kiev even earlier in the late 1930s. His cabinet, his division of the Institute of Ukrainian Culture, the Jewish division, was disbanded. And after the war, both Beregovsky and Magid went to trying to find Jewish folk singers and instrumentalists, not surprisingly, they failed to find anyone. People were killed in the Holocaust mostly, or were displaced, so they could barely find someone. Although Magid continued her work, she recorded, after the war, she recorded Russian folk singers. She made very important recordings together with her colleagues in Velike Luki Oblast and in Karelia, that was annexed by Stalin from Finland, and in other places, in Pushkinogorsk, Leningrad Oblast. So she continued her work as long as she possibly could. She was really, a pinnacle of professional folklorist that she was, so the fate of her legacy, her rich legacy, is utterly unfair and unfortunate. Her dissertation was never published, and it remained as a manuscript. It was never translated into any foreign language. It remains only in Russian as a manuscript. None of her works were properly published. Her audio recordings, either Jewish or not, were not properly published as well. There were several projects connected to her specifically Jewish legacy. That has been my debt, because we were lucky to walk into this archive, and the head of this archive, Dr. Yuri Marchenko, is a wonderful specialist in Northern Russian folklore, a top-notch ethnomusicologist, you can ever imagine. Happened to be Dr. Stepanska's schoolmate. We all come from the same special music school in Minsk. He moved to Leningrad soon after, so we had this informal camaraderie, and he let us access all the collection. He was older than Dr. Stepanska, maybe older, 1 year, 2 years older, but he remembered her somehow, and he was very kind, so he let us access this entire collection. His and his colleagues' bottom line interest was the scholars from all these former Soviet republics to actually work on this, let me repeat that, 1 million units of massive recordings amassed over these many decades. It's impossible to squeeze this number into any 10 human lives, 10 human lives of 10 collectives of specialists, of folklorists. So just to understand what we're dealing with, what we're looking at. So we had this database, and we had these recordings on the wax cylinders that were digitized. So this is what was my debt for 20 years, and this is the book that I put out, encouraged and inspired by Christina Crowder, who helms the Klezmer Institute here in the United States. We happened to be at a trip to Yiddishland program with Aaron, and we spoke, and my kind of contempt at self-publishing was, that's not serious enough. I need to find a decent academic university press, something. But in order to do that, I need to write 100-page, something introductory work, which I never had time to do as a working freelance musician. And Christina told me, you have to do whatever you can, publish a small collection of your favorite tunes that you performed over the years, that you love, that you're ready to share, in your sleep. And so listen, I have a wonderful band. We've been playing all this. It made really a core repertoire of this. This is the CD from 10 years ago we recorded. I'm so proud of it, really, to this day. It's a really good recording. And it's for sale today, by the way. Raisen, the music of Jewish Belarus. It has we'll play some. Good call. We'll play some. So I'm wrapping up, really, but I think it's important to and I will not be talking again and again, but I think it's important to give you this background and also give due credits. So thank you, Christina, and I do thank her here, and Aaron, and Yiddish New York is co-presenting this material. These books will be on sale at Yiddish New York, and I will be giving a talk and a workshop at Yiddish New York on December 25th, early in the morning. So you have to be absolutely in love with this music to come 9:30 to my talk and 11:15 to the workshop. And these books will be also on sale on my Bandcamp, ziesel.bandcamp.com. It's right there, so you can grab them there. And then there will be volume 2, because this is roughly half of the instrumental tunes, and then there are Hasidic Nigunim. So this is in the plans now, this is in the works, but for now, musical treasures from Sophia Magid's Jewish Collection, Volume 1. Here we go.